All right. I'm very tall. I don't want to block the screen, but we'll do our best. So first of all, yeah, perfect. Okay, so hi, I'm Harrison. I'm the CTO at Lineate. Lineate is a small to medium-sized software consulting company. We do custom projects for a wide variety of clients. Our main development office is located here in Tbilisi. I, however, am from Portland, Oregon. For those of you who might not know where Portland, Oregon is, it is on the far west coast of the United States, about 1 hour's drive from the Pacific Ocean. What does that mean? It means it's a very nice place to live. It also means that it is about as far from Tbilisi as you can get on the planet before you start getting closer to Tbilisi again. It also means that I win for jet lag right now. But I'm very, very happy to be here. I don't, however, like commuting. I prefer bicycles, and so there's a certain amount of irony in the fact that I now find myself working from Portland in New York City, Tbilisi, Yerevan, and Krakow. I spend a lot of time on airplanes, but again, it's very worth it. I am lucky enough to have a career in software engineering and technology, which means that I get to solve cool problems, and I get to have the opportunity, like I do right now, to tell people about the cool stuff that I do and why I think it's great. So before we move forward, I'd like to take a minute to thank the conference organizers. Thank you all very much. I would very much like also to take the opportunity to thank the people of Tbilisi and the people of Georgia. I have been coming here regularly now for the last 2.5 years and have received an amazing welcome each time. I've had the opportunity to travel around Georgia, Kutaisi, Tel Aviv, Odzisi. That's a picture of myself and my colleague Tornike at a school in Odzisi where we were able to speak with students, donate laptops. This sort of interaction with young people, this sort of interaction with the young people of Georgia has been the highlight of my career. So thank you all for welcoming me to your country and allowing me that opportunity. So, as I mentioned, Lineate is located in the United States, New York, Poland, Georgia, and Armenia. Our largest development office is here in Tbilisi, and we are going to be expanding in Yerevan significantly in the next coming year or so. Lineate was founded in 2002 as a custom software consulting company, really with the goal of helping our customers scale their data, scale their user base, grow successfully with the least amount of pain possible. Growth hurts, but growth can also be good, and we try and be there for our customers to help them with that. So today, I want to talk with you guys about data processing and reporting. That might sound like a somewhat dry and interesting topic, but in reality, it's one of my favorite topics. It's been a constant theme in my career for, 15, maybe even approaching 20 years. First as a software engineer and a lead developer, building custom ad hoc reporting solutions for multi-tenant SaaS applications. Now as a CTO, as a technology leader, making sure that the development teams that work with me and for me have what they need in order to implement solutions for our clients effectively. It's always challenging and it's always fun. So, I want to talk to you guys about common problems in reporting and data processing. I'd like to talk with you guys a bit about Lineate's experience in Adtech and big data, as well as Lineate's experience building reporting solutions for small to medium-sized businesses, including ourselves, and what causes reporting projects to fail, why that's important, and what we've done about it. So that's why reporting is interesting for me. I think reporting should be interesting for all of you because in every business that I've ever encountered, people need to ask questions of the data that their business creates, that their business acquires, in order to run their business more efficiently. A data-driven business is a more effective and more productive and more profitable business. So it should matter to you. Maybe some of you are lucky enough to already have really good reporting systems where you work, working for you. Thumbs up, congratulations. I suspect many of you will eventually engage in a project to build out a reporting system from scratch in your organization. Hopefully some of what I talk about here today can help you with that. So for me, what is reporting? In this context, reporting is processing data to enable decision making, right? You take a bunch of data, you put it through a blender, you chop it up, you structure it appropriately, and then you can ask questions of it in order to make decisions about how to drive your business. The trick is, whenever you're implementing a reporting system, there are always problems. It is 100% guaranteed that you are going to run into problems when you try to build out a new reporting system for your business. What do some of those problems look like? So one of the major problems in computer science and software engineering in general, and this is a quote from a very famous software engineering computer scientist, a guy named Martin Fowler, is that naming things is really hard. So you can see here up on the screen that we've got two sets of names. And these are actually names that come directly from Lineate's business. On the left up here, you have opportunity, account, and product. On the right, you have customer, project, and role. Totally different sets of names that actually mean exactly the same thing in different contexts of our business. On the left-hand side, that is a model coming from our Salesforce implementation. Salesforce has the concept of an opportunity. We could sell something to somebody, that's an opportunity. The account that is associated with that opportunity, and the product that we want to sell to that account, to that opportunity. Customer project role models the same set of ideas in our time tracking system, right? So we have won the business, we have converted the opportunity into a customer, and now we have a customer with a project and people playing roles in that project. But fundamentally, those are the same two things within our business. If I want to go to Salesforce and run a report about opportunities, accounts, and products, I can do that easily. If I want to go to our time tracking system and run a report about customers, projects, or roles, I can do that easily. But if I want to run a report about both of those things with both of those contexts at the same time, it's much more difficult. I need to line those names up and bring that data into a single system. Similarly, we have the concept of siloed data mappings, right? So imagine two different systems. One is your sales system, and one is your QuickBooks reporting system. You can see that you have people doing data entry, and the people doing data entry into the customer sales system use the full name, John, live on, and so on. The people receiving, invoices know the customers and use their nicknames, and so they put in Johnny and Lev. Those are the same people. We may or may not be able to tie them together. We can run reports in those individual systems, but if we want to run reports against that aggregate data, we need to line those up and bring that information together. Similarly, we have problems of scale, scaling up, scaling down. In the case of very large scale data, we might have a database containing 300 billion events, 300 billion records, that is going to be accepting hundreds of millions of new records every day. We need to ask questions of that data and get a response in less than half a second. That's hard to do. On the opposite end of that spectrum, we might have a customer, and this has been a case for us that's real, that has an absolutely massive compute cluster for their reporting system. 12 servers, each server with 16 cores, 64 gigabytes of memory in each machine. And this costs tens of thousands of dollars a month just to have. But the reality is that they only ask 1 or 2 questions a week, 1 or 2 questions a month that really require that amount of compute. And the rest of the time, they're asking questions, they're running reports that could use 1/10 or 100th of that. And so we want to be able to scale down most of the time for them so that they don't have to pay tens of thousands of dollars a month, but be able to scale up for them when they need an answer to one of those really hard questions. So, Adtech. I call Adtech big dirty data. You guys are all in the marketing field, so I imagine you're familiar with the concept of Adtech. But for me, in this context, Adtech means putting the correct ad in front of the correct web browser user at the correct time that is meaningful for them. And typically, that is done in a fraction of a second by way of an automated auction. You open your web browser window, it sends information to the backend, which then spreads that information to a number of systems that will say, hey, I would really like to show this ad to Tourniquet because he is a 35-year-old Georgian male with a strong interest in technology. And I will pay you 1/2 of 1 cent for that privilege. And somebody else says, yeah, but I will pay you 0.6 cents for that privilege, and so on and so forth. And the winner has the privilege of showing the ad to my friend Tourniquet. All of this takes place in a fraction of a second, and in order to enable that targeting, the systems need to gather a really, really significant amount of information, not just about Tourniquet and his web browsing habits, but about all of us and all of our web browsing habits, so that when any one of you winds up on a web page, you can be targeted too. Imagine that there are, 8 billion people on the planet, and at this point, 1/3 of them right now are using the internet in some form or another. You're poking at your phone, you're browsing before you go to sleep, and all of the clicks, all of the page loads, all of the navigation is flowing into back-end systems, being stored and analyzed, and effectively reported on, right? Figuring out how to show that ad to Tourniquet is very equivalent to running a report. So this is running reports at massive scale, and this is something that Lineate has done for a number of clients over the years. We've done it very successfully, in fact. However, what is interesting is that each time we have done it, the resulting system, the resulting stack, has been a little bit different. Why? Well, the cutting edge technology in 2012 was different than the cutting edge technology in 2014 and 2016. So that's normal progress. Another reason might be that a client had a specific set of requirements. Please use Hadoop. Please use this technology and not that technology. Great, we're consultants, we do that for you. But another very real reason for each one of those successful reporting instances for Adtech being different is that our development teams over the years weren't talking to each other. And they would all go in and they would figure out what they needed to do to be successful in the context of their project, not effectively learning from what had been done before, even within our own company. So, some of the problems, some of the successes we have encountered doing Adtech reporting at very large scales. Similarly, we have recent experience reporting for small to medium-sized businesses. I call this dirty data at reasonable scale. Reasonable scale makes things easier. You can test stuff out on your laptop much more effectively. That's great for developers. You're also much more likely to be able to implement true ad hoc reporting in near real time. I don't know in advance all of the questions I want to ask, but I can still ask those questions. That's ad hoc reporting. That's easy enough to do at small to medium-sized business scale. It still remains very hard and very expensive to do at Adtech scale. We'll get there. Adtech will probably scale up, but eventually we'll catch up. But it's not really feasible yet. So, recent experiences that Lineate has had at this level of scale. We built a reporting system for ourselves. We then started building a reporting system for one of our clients, a major hotel management chain in Canada. And then we decided to rebuild our reporting system for ourselves again. Why? When we first decided to turn our business into a data-driven business, we picked a third-party, off-the-shelf reporting solution. And to start with, I highly recommend that that's what you guys do. It's a great solution to the problem. We were able to implement a very viable reporting solution relatively quickly, and it worked well for us for a number of years. And then we outgrew it. I think I'm getting a lot of feedback. Better. Can you guys still hear me? Thumbs up? Awesome. So we were able to build this system, but then we outgrew it. One of the things that happened was that we started asking questions that the system couldn't handle. It was just hard to build reports that we wanted to build because we'd become more sophisticated report builders. Another one of the major problems was that we couldn't hire developers that had experience in that platform. It wasn't a completely esoteric platform, but it's not common enough that you can just expect to hire a developer, which meant that we had to train all of our developers to use that platform. That's really not ideal. It's very expensive. And for our developers, it wasn't as exciting as it could be because they say, well, what does this technology do for me? I want to use technology that everyone uses so that I can be part of the cutting edge, not part of the one-off system. And so we started to rebuild our reporting system at the same time that we were building a reporting system for this client, the hotel management company. And we realized that we were asking a lot of the same questions, and then that in fact, a lot of the underlying infrastructure that we wanted to build in the cloud was repeatable. It was the same. So we got to a place where we had a system that we called Data Octopus that is repeatable, lets us build out the infrastructure for a reporting system, and then plug in the components that are necessary and unique for each use case relatively quickly. You can see here that some of our data sources were common for us and for this customer. And you can see that some of our questions were common. We both asked the question, what is our revenue, planned versus actual? That's a pretty common question a business wants to ask. We, as a consulting company, asked the question, what is our billable utilization? What percentage of our employees' time earns us money? That's a super important question for a consulting company to ask. Not a very important question for a hotel chain management company to ask. Similarly though, the hotel company wanted to ask, what's our occupancy rate? How full are our rooms on average? Super important question for a hotel management company, not important for us. But the really important thing to take away here is that because with our Data Octopus system, we were able to build the infrastructure out quickly, we were able to more quickly begin to focus on what's really important. What questions do we want to ask of the data? What do those questions look like? As a developer, I can say, what sort of shape do those questions have? And how do I want to model the data underneath so that I can effectively answer those questions? So I'm really pleased with this slide. I was practicing the presentation this morning, thinking about Octopus this and Octopus that, and I noticed that in this diagram that my colleague, I believe Eugene Wexler, put together, there are 8 stages to the pipeline, all governed by the AWS Event Bridge. Lo and behold, an octopus has 8 legs, so that was very fortuitous. I'm very, very happy about that. So Eugene, if you're watching the video, kudos to you, thank you. So what do we have going on here? We have a data processing pipeline. You start with data sources, you ingest that data, you land the data in what we call a data lakehouse. You can think of it as a data warehouse or a database. You have transformations that take that raw data, flip it around, manipulate it, and structure it the way you want it to be. You land that staged data, and then you look at it and you say, is this data clean? Initially, I can guarantee you that it will not be clean. Data is always dirty. We build alerts, we build checks, we build notifications, alarms, failures. Make the data clean before you proceed, right? From there, you wind up with well-structured, clean data in your lakehouse, and you can put consumption tools on top of it. You can put BI tools, business intelligence tools, to build reports. You can do ad hoc analysis against it. Ask it questions that you didn't know you wanted to ask before it occurred to you, without having to go to a developer and say, please build me the ability to ask this question. You can put your machine learning models on top of these clean data structures and have them suck that data in and do their cool AI stuff that we've been talking about today. And you can build applications on top of it, if that's what you want to do. The important takeaway here, though, with this Data Octopus architecture is that within each one of these pipelines, you have a bunch of different options. Any number of data sources, that's normal. That's just 9 different source systems that we want to combine together. But it gets interesting when you see that I have a number of options for doing ingestion. Maybe there are already available plug-in ingesters from AWS that will talk to a well-known source system, like QuickBooks. I want to use that. I don't want to rewrite that. Maybe I need to write custom code, so I put that in a Lambda function. Maybe there's something else I want to use as an ingester. I get to the center here, where I'm doing transformations, and maybe I'm transforming a small amount of data, and I can do that with just regular old Python scripts. Maybe I'm transforming a huge amount of data, and I actually want to run that through a Spark cluster with Python on top. I can plug that in or plug that out. That's really kind of the magic of this architecture. It gives us a familiar structure, it builds it out quickly, and it then lets the developers plug stuff in as they need to in order to build what they're building for a particular client. So, why is any of what I just said interesting? For me, to answer that question, I think you have to first ask yourself the question, why do reporting projects fail? Reporting projects fail because software is hard. Software projects fail because software is hard. And reporting projects are software projects, so they're hard. But in particular, I think that reporting projects are somewhat unique in that developers will have a particular tendency, in my experience, more so than is generally usual, to go down the rabbit hole of let's design the perfect architecture, let's design the perfect processing system to address use cases that ultimately don't actually wind up existing. And because they spend the first third of the project or more doing that, they don't spend time thinking about how do we fix the dirty data and where is the dirty data, and then that dirty data surprises them at the end of the project. And they also don't spend time thinking about what questions does the business want to ask of this data and why? How does the business think about their business domain? What entities exist within that business or this other business? And how do we shape our data to allow us to ask questions of it in the context of those entities, in the context of that type of understanding of a business? So, how does Data Octopus address these issues? Very simply, it forces us, our development teams, to very quickly, within days, not weeks or months, build out an initial infrastructure and architecture for our new reporting platform. And then it allows us to begin quickly iterating on full stack reports that we can present to our end users, get feedback, allows us to focus on the data cleanliness issues, which are always a problem and are exceptionally important, and you will always run into in any reporting project. And it allows us to talk with our users to really understand the way they conceive of their business and the models and the entities within their business, so we can better shape the data underneath to answer questions for them. All right. So I'm getting near to the end of my presentation. Thank you for paying attention so far. I want to leave you guys with just a few tips because I strongly suspect that in your careers, you will be involved at some point in some capacity with a reporting project. First thing, I can't stress this enough. Your data is going to be dirty, and as soon as you throw it at systems, whatever those systems might be, Nutsa gave a great presentation of a MarTech stack and how it needs to be well thought out and clean so that your AI can use it. That's kind of a reporting use case, and she was very right. Your data is going to be dirty, fix it, expect it, plan for it, buffer it in your project plan. If you're a developer, please understand how your users think about the business domain. Get them in front of a whiteboard, get them to draw pictures, circles and lines on the whiteboard that show you how they conceive of the business. That is your underlying data model that you want to build stored. If you are an end user, a stakeholder, please don't be shy to go and talk to the development team. They have a very different understanding about the way the business works than you do at a much lower level that often means their understanding isn't really as effective as it needs to be. Show them how you think about the business so that they can build a system that lets you ask the questions that you want to ask. And finally, keep your initial tool selection simple. We do this with Data Octopus. We push a button and by default, we've got an initial set of tools that are simple and familiar to us. If you have a development partner, great, do what they say. If you're doing it yourself, go ahead and start with a simple report built on top of some Excel spreadsheets. Show that to your end users, show that to your stakeholders, get the feedback, use that feedback to design your reports, and use the structure of the Excel sheets that you started with to understand the way your data needs to be shaped under the hood as you build more complex data transforms to automate it all into a database for reporting. So, thank you all very much. Didi Madaba.